Alright, so guys, we're going to be flying back into the comic book world for my last two topics of today. We talked about Marvel earlier in the show, so who are we going to be talking about this go around? DCU. Alright, so with 2026 on the horizon, DCU, I feel, is off to a fantastic start. We of course got the Creature Commandos, which I really enjoyed. Then we got Superman. Now, Superman was a huge deal. I absolutely loved Superman. I thought Superman was fucking, I mean, let's just be straight up. It was fantastic, okay? And I even liked it the second go around. I thought it was a great introduction to, of course, the DCU. I put it on par with like the original Iron Man. I mean, it had that same symbolism. It had the same, neither film was perfect, but was it a good stepping stone? Absolutely. And the world that James Gunn introduced us to only extended on that with Peacemaker Season 2, which I truly enjoyed. I even liked the way it ended. Despite all controversy, I know people were expecting cameo this, cameo that, Blue Beetle, and this and that. Cool. Will all those things be awesome? For sure. Right? Who wouldn't have liked that? But at the same time, guys, this is some of the things that have ruined Marvel, right? Marvel got ruined by the fact that it continued to just be so, lean so heavily on, big appearances, and catastrophic this and that. I mean, and all these team ups. I mean, these things are unnecessary. We have superheroes who sure work together, but they are also their own superhero in a sense where they got their own city, they got their own territory that they protect, and they have their own comic book. So the fact that Marvel was constantly intertwining, it just makes it all confusing. So when things happen, for instance, in for anybody who hasn't seen the Marvels, right? Which it was okay. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It did terrible at the box office for sure, but it wasn't terrible. But there's the end scene where we're in the X-Men world and we see a CGI version of Kelsey Grammer's Beast, right? So if you haven't seen the Marvels, and then that part is going to probably most likely play a moment in Avengers Doomsday, you're confused. And this interconnection, it's kind of what's ruined Marvel, I feel, in a sense. It's part of the problem, right? And I think James Gunn doesn't want to make that same mistake with the DCU. So, the constant cameos and team-ups, we're going to see less of that, I feel, with the DCU. And Peacemaker, I felt, was, the way it ended, people were disappointed. But it set up Salvation, one. It set up Checkmate. These are two pivotal parts that are going to play dividends in the future of the DCU. Okay? So, well, now Superman is done. Peacemaker Season 2 is done. We got Lanterns that was announced, which looks like this is going to be a John Stewart story with Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre as the titled characters of Hal Gordon and John Stewart. Like, holy shit, great casting. I mean, how could you get better than that? I mean, seriously, right? If you're going to be going with an older, rugged Hal Gordon, come on, man. Kyle Chandler is that guy. But we also got Supergirl. And then recently reports, and I also saw like a little snippet from behind the scene. It looks like somebody caught on a drone or something. I'm not sure how that happened, but it looks like it's a scene that they were filming in Supergirl. And it was like Supergirl was kicking ass. Then they showed Lobos. I mean, it just looks absolutely insane. But Lanterns is supposed to be what's next. But then we also heard in speculations that, oh no, we might not see Lanterns until after Supergirl. So there's a lot of confusion there. Well, it looks like we have absolutely cleared that up today. where Warner Brothers Discoveries held an investors call today, and while the DC Studios updates were few and far between, we have some news on, of course, when we are going to get a release window in regards to Lanterns. Okay, so it is officially revealed what that release window is going to be. And that, of course, looking at this article here, and this is, of course, guys, from Comic Book Movie News. It says the release window for Lanterns was officially revealed like Peacemaker. It appears we can expect a show to bypass HBO for an HBO Max debut. That means The Penguin and Watchmen remain the only DC TV series to get the HBO treatment. Penguin's awesome. Penguins necessarily didn't feel like a comic book show. It felt like almost like a Sopranos type of show, and that was fantastic. Waiting week to week to watch that. Peacemaker, I thought Peacemaker did get the HBO treatment. It released on HBO and then also HBO Max. I'm not too sure. I could be wrong. I have just HBO Max, so I don't have the channel HBO no more, I guess. So with Lanterns is pretty much going to be dealt with similar to Peacemaker. That makes sense. And so this is, of course, this is where things stand with the DC. So as importantly, with its first theatrical release, Superman, DC Studios marked a new era and critical first step on its 10-year journey to deliver fans a fresh and cohesive storyline across films, television, while bringing new heroes and villains to the surface. Building on Superman's foundation, upcoming DC Studios projects include Lanterns, which will debut on HBO Max, is a keyword, early 2026. Supergirl and Clayface, which are scheduled for theatrical releases in the summer and fall of 2026, respectively, and Man of Tomorrow, the follow-up to Superman, with James Gunn is currently writing and will again direct. We remain incredibly excited about the momentum at DC Studios and its prospects to reconnect with fans and ignite the next generation of these beloved characters. Now, on the aforementioned phone call, Zaslav confirmed that the script for Man of Tomorrow has been written by James Gunn, and that's going to be next. I then mentioned some other things which we're going to get into, but before we get into that, so let's listen to that here. So at the moment, we got DC Studios with the huge momentum from Superman, Peacemaker, going into the new year. And then we got projects, Lanterns, Supergirl, Clayface, all scheduled for next year as well. Now, Lanterns is going to debut on HBO Max in early 2026. Now, I don't know about you all, but I take early 2026, like, I don't know, maybe like January to March type of deal, right? I don't, in that first quarter of the year, I guess, you could go January to April. If it's not released in that window, then that's not considered early, my opinion. So I'm suspecting that's when we're most likely to see it. I think February is a good time, probably, March, but we are going to be expecting Lanterns. So we got huge momentum for next year. So January to April, I suspect that's when we're going to start seeing Lanterns, or the premiere of Lanterns, which, to be honest, man, I'm absolutely stoked for. They also got Ulrich Thompson playing Sinestro. Like, if anybody doesn't know who that guy is, he go watch Banshee, and he plays like the Amish, like Kingpin type of, oh my god, just fantastic performance, menacing. So I don't know how more excited I can get from a bad guy for that, but Lantern seems to be being handled right. And then from what we've heard from Lanterns and from Zavlaz in previous statements, where he was saying like this is gonna be like award-winning type show, similar to Penguin. So I'm I'm really, really, really excited for what Lanterns is going to bring. And then we already got kind of a synopsis for what the story entails, right? It says, our story takes place in a couple different time periods. Lanterns showrunner Chris Mundy recently revealed. And so the challenge was for the characters to be consistent at their core. John's sort of a different person in one of them than he is in another. Our show is a lot of ways about replacement, which should somewhat set aside and when it is time for the next person to take the reins. He continued hinting that the series will see Hal Gordon pass the Green Lantern mantle to John Stewart. That push and pull between those two characters is really important. So much of the power that John has is by not taking the bait, understanding that you lose your power if you're yelling and screaming. That's what we're trying to convey. That he knows he belongs, so he doesn't have to overcompensate, Mundy added. There is a real balance there. That's just innately inside of Aaron. He's big, he's an intimidating presence just physically, but there's a softness to him too. There's a thoughtfulness. You can't teach that. So, Lanterns follows new recruits John Stewart and Lantern legend Hal Gordon, two intergalactical cops drawn into a dark Earth-based mystery as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. Chris Mundy, who recently did True Detective Night Country, is serving as showrunner and executive producer and will write Lanterns with David Lindelof, who wrote, of course, the Watchmen TV series, but also he did that oh man, that's driving me crazy. It was The Leftovers or something like that. It was an HBO series where like half of everybody like disappeared, like just didn't come back. It was nuts. Overnight, they were just gone. And then comic book script, Tom King. The cast includes Aaron Pierre as John Stewart, Kyle Chandler as Hal Gordon, Ulrich Thompson as Sinestro, Kelly MacDonald, Garrett Dillahunt, Porna Jacanith, I butchered that name, Nicole Ari Parker, Jason Ritter, and Jasmine Species Jones round out the cast. Lanterns is set to premiere on HBO in early 2026. So I think it sounds great, guys. It does sound like a true detective type of story, right? Remember the first season, all the seasons of True Detective really have the same concept, right? Where it's just like something that happened in the past is being revisited today. And it's just like something that just got to get that closure years later. Well, this looks really cool, and it looks like it's two guys. You know, one of them is, of course, the veteran to start off. The other one's like the rook, and then it shows them their relationship gradually just their bond as it goes on, and then of course the passing of the mantle. I'm really excited for this one. I'm very, very excited for this one. So with that down. The next part of what Zavlaz was blabbering about, right, was he called Matt Reeves, the Batman Part 2, and this is his words, horrific. Now, of course, man, you're the head of studio. You know, you're going to definitely hype up all the things that you got, right? You're gonna hype them up. That's just what you're gonna do, right? It's mine. We have pride in it, right? But that is a phrasing that I honestly don't doubt. Yeah, I don't doubt that for one bit. You know, him using that word in regards to the script. Now, guys, look, we got Batman the Part 1 in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Hold on. We're going to have to look that up. The Batman. Yeah, released in 2022. So, one, it's already been 3 years since the movie released. But it's not going to be coming out until 2027. So, we got another 2 years. So, it's going to be 5 years in between these movies. So I only suspect that this movie is going to be grand, you know? Robert Pattinson's coming back. It's going to be his Junior's Bruce Wayne. We're getting a villain that has never been done before on the big screen. So I'm curious there. Hush. Is it you know, what are we getting in that regard, right? Is it the Court of Owls? I mean, just something that's never been done on the big screen. So I'm very, very eager to see, you know, what this Batman Part 2 is going to be. You know, is it part 2 of a 3? Will there be a third? I honestly like the idea that they plan to go, you know, with 2 different Batmans, you know, very different styles. This Batman is going to be more grounded, Christopher Nolan-esque type of work, versus the Batman that we're going to get, part of the DC universe, is going to be a little bit more campy, I would think, right? Not necessarily is going to be, you know, but you're going to have to introduce characters like Clayface. You're going to have to introduce Superman. It's got to be a world where they exist in, right? And I just feel that Matt Reeves' The World, which is almost, I guess, I'll be honest with you, I think it resembles a lot of what Tim Burton did with his Batman, just that grittiness to it, and just the way the architecture, the way that kind of was articulated. I feel that that's what Matt Reeves gave this Batman, the Batman here and that universe, but it doesn't fit for a Superman to join into it, or I just don't think it does, you know. But who knows, right? I heard there's been speculations about that, but I do like the idea of the 2 different Batmans. I think you can have 2 different takes on Batmans. It's no different than what the cartoons do. It's no different than what the comic books do. So intrigued there. But Zaslav calling the script terrific, I don't doubt it. Now, Matt Reeves is not going to be directing it. I believe the person directing it was the individual that directed a few episodes of The Penguin, right? So it's going to have that grittiness too. So I'm very, very eager, very excited for what that film is, you know, is going to bring us. But guys, man, that is it for Real Rumble today. Thank you guys for joining, man. If you finish and you're here at the end, man, I commend you, you know, and I appreciate all the love, the support, and hell, you finding me interesting enough to just stick around. So, hey, if you haven't got a chance to subscribe, man, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. But guys, thanks again for another episode of Real Rumble. See you again tomorrow. Peace out.